Good evening and welcome to America's News HQ. I'm Parker Jackson. Thank you for joining us tonight on this episode of our show here on Newsmax. Coming up on the show tonight, all of the latest news headlines, and we have a panel discussion on the start of the 111th Congress. America's News HQ starts right now. Hello and welcome to the show. Glad to see everybody here tonight. Let's get into our top headlines of the night. We now start with breaking news tonight. The chance of a nuclear or biological attack on a major world city within the next 5 years is much greater. A new report has warned. A bipartisan commission set up by the U.S. Congress said that America's margin of safety was shrinking, not growing. One of the authors of World at Risk said that its enemies were moving quickly to gain weapons of mass destruction. The White House later said it did not plan to overhaul the country's national security structures in a response. A spokeswoman said it would be up to Barack Obama to consider the issue when he takes office. I think that we would I think that we would make sure that the president-elect's team is fully briefed, and then if they decide to take action on this, they will. Let's move on to another topic tonight. Moving on, some news out of Mexico. A 197 million aid package to help Mexico fight drugs and cartels has been released by the U.S. government. It is part of the Meridia Initiative, a $400 million scheme to assist Mexico's efforts to take on the drug trade. U.S. Ambassador Tony Garza formally unveiled the program, which includes the donation of helicopters and surveillance aircraft in Mexico City. Mexican newspaper El Universal says at least 5,000 people have been killed in drug-related violence this year alone. The newspaper, which has been keeping tallies for the past 4 years, said that number of people killed by organized crime was on the course to be double 2,700 deaths registered in 2007. The deaths have been happening at an average of an hour during one of the past 42 days, El Universal said. Turning now to some news on the economy tonight, a senior United States officials are in China for economic talks, an event that is being overshadowed by global financial crisis. China has already said the two-day meeting's most pressing task is to help out and sort out the financial mess. The U.S. is also pushing to resolve a dispute about the value of the Chinese currency, the yuan. The two sides are meeting under China's U.S. Strategic Economic Dialogue framework set up 2 years ago. This is the fifth meeting within the framework designed to help iron out the economy's questions between the U.S. and China. But in his opening remarks, Chinese Vice Premier Wang Qishan, leading talks for China, said bigger issues were at stake, making a joint effort to tackle the current global economic crisis is the most urgent task before us, he said. And finally tonight, authorities in Zimbabwe have declared a cholera outbreak that has killed more than 550 people to be a national emergency. State medical reports and the health minister David Piriamindiatawa said hospitals were in urgent need of medicine, food, and equipment and were suffering a critical staff shortage. Zimbabwe is appealing for international help urgently tackle the outbreak, which they have said that it is under control. Meanwhile, 16 soldiers have been held over disorder in Harare, say the reports. The Zimbabwean police told the state-owned Herald newspaper that 10 of the soldiers were detained over a looting spree on Monday, which broke out after the central bank said they did not have enough money to pay for the defense force members' conquering wages. The other six were a part of a group that reportedly looted shops and battled riot police last week. Zimbabwe's defense minister has blamed the disturbances on an unruly minority in the army and has promised to punish the culprits. That's it for all of our news headlines tonight. Coming up on the show, I'm joined by a panel to talk about the 111th Congress, rather. America's News HQ. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the America's News HQ. I'm now joined by a panel to talk about the 111th Congress that just started today. I'm joined by Travis Daniels, Cameron Stanford, and Kale. I'm not really sure on your last name. If you'd like to just go ahead and point that out. Sorry, this is your first time on the show, and I want to make sure I get it right.
Kale Evar.
All right, welcome everybody to the show. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing
I'm doing
fabulous.
great, thank you.
Now, I want to get into the 111th Congress and some of the things that came up today. So I'm assuming some of you were there. So I mean, just explain the overall feeling on the floor on the floor today.
So, really, it was just really being sworn in. Really, wasn't much to do. Really, there wasn't much to say. But yeah, that's really it. And congratulations to the uh, all the new representatives and Cameron Spence, who is again Speaker for the 111th Congress.
That is right. Cameron Spence was elected Speaker of the House today in a vote. I'm not really sure how the vote went, but I do know that Cameron Spence is a Democrat from a state here, and we'll see how he does. Now, Travis, I want to talk to you about the Josh Ford situation that happened. Are you surprised with the way Josh acted on the House floor today?
Absolutely not, man. Josh Ford, he has made a name known for himself for his bad attitude with people. And, from hearing that he's now the chairman of the GOP is absolutely absurd. I don't know how someone with his amount of disrespect can hold a leadership position in the GOP. It makes no sense to me. How are you going to let somebody represent the country like that? He's representing the Republican Party, and that's why it's failing so miserably. And adding him to the chairman was not helping our case whatsoever.
Now, you bring up the Republican Party and the way it's going right now, and you said he's the chairman of it right as of now. Do you think that he's a good role model for us going into upcoming elections as well as the next presidential election starting in about 3 years from now?
Absolutely not. We will get nowhere with him as the chairman. Nowhere.
Now, how do you feel about Josh Ford, Kale?
His actions were not right. Um, how they were today. I was on the floor and I saw him, and his actions. The clerk was asking him to repeatedly stop, stop, and stop again. And really, they were really thinking about removing him from representative from his district, and they he was very immature and was not like was not good for a representative.
Yeah, we're going to get some more information on that coming up with one of our correspondents here, Cameron Stanford. He's going to give us the inside scoop of exactly what happened. But I want to bring up another point you made, Travis, and that is just the state of the Republican Party right now. Now, if it isn't Josh, who do you think should be leading us into the future?
Well, currently I am no longer a Republican, and it doesn't mean my views have changed or anything. I'm still a Republican in heart, but currently in AP, I am not a Republican, and that's just because of the poor leadership that has been shown within the Republican Party. Um, I don't really know who's still in there and who isn't in there. If it's the original, I really don't know. Jackson McCain would probably be my best bet. He'd probably be our best bet as of now. He was the Speaker of the House, and then he stepped down. Jackson McCain is probably one of the best people I've ever met to be in this party.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, right now there's nobody that stands out in the Republican Party, in my opinion. I mean, you see Zach Berger, who was honestly, I think, just appointed yesterday to Attorney General in the Obama administration, which doesn't really line up with his views, I would think. So, how do you feel about Josh Berger joining the Obama administration
Okay,
on.
I like. I don't really have facial expressions on Roblox. Wait, were you talking to me?
Yes, I am.
Uh, I'm cringing so hard. Like that's just hey, screw y'all. That's basically what he's saying to us as the Republicans. I feel like that is not representing what we should be, and that is why our party is continuing to decline because we have fake Republicans in our party. No one is literally genuine Republican that I've met so far, besides our current panel. And I don't understand how you can call yourself a Republican and work for a Democrat president. You're like sucking up to the Democrats. That's how you get a job in this place.
Yeah, I agree. When I heard that was the first one he announced, and I was sitting in the press briefing. I know our friend Michael R. Smith was also streaming that on his news show, and he also got to talk to some of the people that were being appointed. But my mouth just dropped. I mean, are you serious? The former challenger to President Barack Obama, Zach Berger, literally accepted a position in a Democratic run executive branch as Attorney General, which I do not see their views aligning in the upcoming future, and I just do not understand what in the world happened there. So that's something we're going to really have to take a look at if he is placed into that position and confirmed. Now, Kale, how do you feel about the former leader of our party going to work for the Obama administration? You there, Kale? Okay.
Yes, sorry. What was the question?
Kale, how do you feel about Zach Berger joining the Democratic Obama administration as Attorney General?
To be honest, I really think Mark Johnson should have been the attorney general. I just think Hanson is more right for the Attorney General. He really had no experience. He was also a Attorney General once for one of the past administrations. So I really
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
Mark
Have you
Hanson
guys?
for
should be
sure.
Attorney
Now,
General.
Cameron, my question for you now is how do you feel about Zach Berger joining the Obama administration as the Attorney General? I know you've been following this, so give us the inside scoop on it.
Yeah, and I'll talk about another topic after, but on Berger, you know he was a Republican candidate, right? Nominated by the Republican Party, which still seems to be in shambles, having about a 5 to 6 member turnout at the session for the House of Representatives. Sorry, I lost my words there. And I just seem to wonder. Me and Michael have been covering this for the past few days. If you look at this, excuse me, if you look at this, pretty much all of the President-elect Obama's cabinet choices are far left, far liberal, very radical ideas. And you know, why is he going from far left, very liberal, very Democrat, very radical, to a Republican? So I'm trying to wonder, is there a catch here? Because it doesn't really make sense with the pattern that he's been doing with all these cabinet picks, that he'd elect a Republican, and not just any Republican, the same Republican who ran against him for president of the United States.
I can totally agree with you. Is there something else going on that us Republicans don't know about? I mean, not to mention, some of Obama's picks were just absolutely terrible. I know I bring this up every night, but Andrew Cooper, owner of the executive or whatever he is of the failed CNN, is going to be the diplomatic policy director of the board or something like that. I mean, where do you think he comes up with? Yes, domestic policy advisor. Where do you think he comes up with all of these people to put in these positions? Or do
Yeah.
you think he's just had like 3 people apply and he just picked the best one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just a lack of applicants. I would not be surprised if a lot of people just want to stay in their current Senate office, representative offices. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. And my question to you guys and the Obama administration is, there's a lot of what many would consider unqualified people in these positions, and just looking at his cabinet, there's a lot of them who this is their first presidential experience. Most of them, at most, have a short experience in the Senate. For example, Thomas Kirkman. There are a few who have quite an extensive background in politics and in their respective backgrounds, but there's many in the Biden administration who, once again, are far left, far liberal, very radical, and have little experience. And I'm just wondering, because there's definitely people with more experience out there. So it leaves me to wonder: is it because they, for some weird reason, want to pick the people that aren't experienced? Maybe they're friends and they just want to pick them instead, or is it because they're just not getting enough applicants per each position?
I mean, that's something very weird. I mean, you pointed out the thing as friends. Maybe he is just picking his friends and just throwing them wherever they would like to go. Now, Travis, where do you think these picks are coming from, or do you just think he had no other choice but to pick these people?
Wait, what was the question again?
Where do you think all of the transition picks that Obama has been picking are coming from? Because most of them are underqualified. There's a few that are at least qualified, but they've had controversial passes. They've had controversial things go on in the past. So where do you think he's coming up with all these nominations?
I have no idea, man. And like Kel said, there has to be something, or whoever said it. Sorry, I wasn't really paying
Cameron?
attention. If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
There has to be something bigger behind it. And
Mm-hmm.
if he wants his staff to thrive, he's going to need to have better staff team members. This is for America. So he doesn't need to be picking no half, the word staff members.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and I mean the one thing that I have learned in life is never hire your friends, because when you hire your friends, they turn into enemies. So if that's what's going to happen, it's going to be a long ride for
And
our little.
Parker, I know you're the host, but if you don't mind bringing up a topic, I'm sure you all as fellow, but I believe you guys are all Republicans, correct?
Travis is an independent, but the rest of us are.
Okay. So, with us all being, Republicans, mainly Republicans, let's say, and mainly conservatives, We all know, even if we're not Republican conservatives, generally we all know about John Ford, I believe his name, something Ford. Hang on, yeah, Josh Ford. Sorry. And I was reporting at the Congress session at around 5:30, and I was able to witness the actions of Ford, and actually got I may or not be able to release it yet, but I do have body camera footage from the United States Capitol Police. And, I'm just wondering, once that video gets out and people can really see the extent of what Ford has been doing, he was, if many of you guys don't know what the well is, basically if you walk into the House chamber, there is where the speaker sits, and where all the clerks are, and where the chaplain sits, and, where all those little people are in the front, next under the American flag. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know what that is, but that is called the well. So the well. And he kept going up there, sitting in the speaker seat mid-session, refusing to leave. He was following around certain Capitol Police officers demanding protection for no reason at all. He was picking fights with other people in Congress. He got thrown out once and had to be removed by the Sergeant at Arms another time because he refused to move from the speaker's chair. He was making a fool out of himself in the Republican Party and just acting like completely careless. And my question with that is, this man is our GOP chairman. This is how the guy that's supposed to lead our Republican Party and get it out of this shit show. And this guy that's supposed to lead us out of our already corrupt party, not really corrupt, of our inactive and dead party, this guy that's supposed to lead us out, how does he act? He should be acting with leadership, responsibility, and dedication to try to get the Republicans out of this mess and crisis. Instead, he is getting thrown out of Congress sessions, acting like a complete fool, and acting like he doesn't give a shit. And that leads me to wonder, is he just there for the power? What the hell is he doing? Because he doesn't seem like he wants the Republican Party. So I call, especially once that footage gets released, I call on all members of the Republican Party right now to get Josh Ford out of chairmanship and to get a new chairman in that actually cares about the Republican Party. What are you guys thoughts?
I mean, you heard it right here. Representative Cameron Stanford. Is that your name, or is it Stanford? Or did you change it?
I'm just Cameron Stafford.
Okay, Cameron Stafford here, right here on America's News HQ, has called on a vote to remove Josh Ford. Now, I was going to actually ask you that, so thank you for bringing that up, because I might have forgot anyway. But, what a disgrace. What a disgrace to our party. What an embarrassment after the things you said he did. Just absolutely crazy. Now, something that I've been doing on my show lately is I've been asking the guests to rank how you think the Obama administration is going to do over the next 4 years. And I know we already got yours, Travis, so you don't have to answer this time. But Cameron and Kale, I want you guys to give me on a scale of 1 to 10 how well you think the Obama administration will do during their first term in office. Cameron, we'll start with you.
When I first, went into the election and I'd seen that the Obama administration was going to come out with a win, I actually called the Obama administration was going to win. So I was very confident in my guess that they were going to win. So I practically knew that they were going to win. I was preparing for an Obama administration win. And at first I was like, it's Obama. I've covered on Congress for many years, several news agencies before I finally came to Newsmax, which by far is probably the best that I've ever been at. But I've covered for many things, many people in Congress, covered Congress for a long time, and Obama has been known to work across the aisle for people on bills. Has always been friendly, no matter how disruptive his enemies get. Generally, is a very nice guy when you leave out the politics. So I was like, yeah, this probably isn't that bad. Now, once he starts announcing these cabinet picks that are far left, radical, most have little to no experience. And now with this plot twist of Zachary Berger, his running mate, and a supposed Republican, not attorney general, who wants to focus on reforming the judicial system. So that makes me, really think and dive into Zachary Berger's situation. Is he putting Zachary Berger in office for a certain reason that we cannot find out yet? Or is he putting him in office because he thinks that even though he's a Republican, he'll do the best job in office? Is he trying to carry his bipartisanship into his presidency and appoint the guy who he thinks is, best suited for the position, no matter what party he's in. So, I'm wondering if there's some other catch, or if he's just being bipartisan and electing the guy who he thinks is going to be the best. In the case of Zachary Berger for Attorney General. Now, I was pretty optimistic. I thought that this was going to be a lot better until, obviously, like I said, the cabinet choices got announced. And then, it just started to go downhill for me. Right now, I'm probably going to rate them. I'm not going to choose a solid number. I'll rate between a 4 and a 6, depending on how this thing goes.
All right, you heard it right here. Cameron scores 4 and 6. We'll put that down in the books. Kale, how would you rate their term, his upcoming term, on a scale from 1 to 10?
I would most likely rate it a 6 because really, their their administration is not bad. I really like Obama and Biden's policies and what they would do for our country, really. So I am hopeful that they will succeed and will work with our Americans very well.
All right, so Kale says 6. We'll put your name out down in the book, and we'll see who gets closest at the end of their term. Everybody, thank you for continuing watching America's News HQ. We'll be right back with our final thoughts after this quick break. And welcome back to America's News HQ. It's the end of the episode, so that only means one thing. It's time for our final thoughts. Starting us out tonight is Travis Daniels. Travis, give us your final thoughts on the
All right, I'm
night.
gonna keep this nice and short. The Republican Party needs to get their shit together. Simple,
Mm-hmm.
plain and simple. And the Obama administration need to hire better damn staff if they're gonna lead this country effectively. Simple.
Couldn't have said it better.
Mhm.
Cameron, what's your final thoughts?
Pretty much the same as Daniels here. I think that the Republican Party needs to get Josh Ford out of chairmanship immediately. I think that they need to cast a vote ASAP and get this fool out of the chairmanship and, possibly out of Congress as a whole if he keeps acting this way, not representing the American people properly. And I think the people of his district should be absolutely enraged that their elected official is acting like this in Congress. Also, like Daniel said, I think that Obama administration needs to hire more experienced staff and needs to hire those who are best for their positions and not those who have had the most time knowing Obama. That's pretty much all my thoughts. Whoever's going next, I think it's
Kale, any final thoughts for you?
I think Josh needs to be out of office and he also needs to be Attorney General and that the Republicans will do great in the House and the Senate, even though they didn't get the president in. They're down really big in the House in terms of representatives.
All right, thank you for those thoughts, Kale. I mean, my final thoughts kind of line up with all of yours, including you, Travis, and you, Cameron's. Republican Party needs to find a strong leader that will lead us into the next 3 years, into the upcoming election in about
Mm-hmm.
starting in 3 years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as the Obama administration transition picks go, something we're gonna have to watch out very closely for, because like I said earlier, do not mix friends and business unless you can keep that bond of, unless you can keep that separate relationship between business and friendship. So that's something to watch out for. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on America's News HQ. It's been another great episode, and we will see you right back here tomorrow. Just a programming note, Newsmax Now with Michael R. Smith will be starting in a few minutes, so be sure to check him out after me. And well, y'all just have a good night. We will see you tomorrow.